Hello friends, it is Running Kimono, and in today's video it's kind of out there, but this is a very good message. Now, I personally didn't lose my job. A friend of mine recently did, and a couple weekends ago, this friend called me and we had a talk, and basically her position is being replaced by an automated machine. And I was like shocked. And no, she doesn't work at the DMV either. This is a new machine that they're popping up at various Meijer grocery stores where you can get your tags and license for your car for updating it instead of going to the DMV. Yeah, very similar thing. The company that she works for, they've decided to go automated. So a bunch of computers is going to do her job. And I don't think she saw this coming, and the fact that it was a January job loss, it's kind of surprising because usually they do that in December. It's obviously never a good time to lose your job, but this friend of mine, got on the horn with me and said how do you deal with this? Because guess what? I am no stranger to this. I went through something similar in 2013, and it was just a reduction in the workforce. I didn't lose my job to a machine, although it possibly could happen. It might in the future. But I've gone through this, and my friend was just grasping for straws, kind of desperate, didn't know what to do, really hyper. And I tried to calm her down and just give her some really good advice. And I thought I would share some of this advice in this video, in case you've never been near a job loss or you've never lost your job or been laid off. This is definitely something to discuss because this is a financial disaster. It is something a tsunami hitting your bank account, basically, especially if you're not used to it, or if you've been at the same workplace for 5-10 years and it's just part of what you do. It can be really hard because a lot of us might identify with our jobs, especially if it's something that you really love or something that you just really blossom at, or you are possibly one of the best in your office. It can really, really suck when you're just told, hey, because of seniority or just because of numbers, you're being let go. And you're young enough that you'll be able to bounce back and find something else. But if this is your really big call and passion in life, it's just a really hard thing to deal with, and there's no way around it. But my friend, I basically gave her some advice, and I told her not to make any decisions too quickly, and just to keep her options open, and then to keep her options to maybe jump into a different field as well. Because if your field is being replaced by machines left, right, and center, I think the writing might be on the wall. It's like anything. For example, the people that might have worked like a toll booth in the subway, and now that's a machine that, spits out the coins. Or possibly, I know up in Canada, lots of banks, they cut a couple staff members and bring in more ATMs. And it's disheartening. It really is. Even like a telephone operator back in the day, you would press 0 and then talk to somebody who could get you phone numbers, information, that sort of stuff. Like back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, there used to be fleets and fleets of operators who worked for the telephone companies to help people. And now everything is look it up on Google, or it's automated. There might be a couple left, but it has been dwindling, and very little. And it's unfortunate, but the way that the rapid pace of technology and how computers can really automate so many things, that if you're in that sort of position where you could possibly lose your job to a machine or a downsize, which happened to me, it's super, super disheartening. And but you got to stay positive, as hard as that might be. You really do. Now, I was smart enough that when the layoff started at my workplace, which was in 2008, I was smart enough to see the writing on the wall, and I looked at my financial portfolio and how, what my weaknesses was, what debt I had, the fact that I had a car that was still on payments. And then I just found Dave Ramsey and started to follow these baby steps, and I got them accomplished quickly. Because the goal in mind was, I knew I was going to be losing my job. I didn't know when, but I had to get my financial house in order and to follow his steps. And step number 2 and 3, when you can lose your job, and if you might have car payments, mortgage payments, I think you might make a lot of rash or quick decisions that aren't really smart for you, just because you're you're facing this job loss and you just have to find the next job no matter what it is. And sometimes you might pick a job or get hired somewhere where it isn't a good fit for you. And that can also be like really hard or even depressing. Um, I took a job shortly thereafter at a place where it wasn't so much the work that was not great. It was the environment. Like, I did not vibe with a single person, and I was just extremely quiet and just did my work and didn't really talk with anyone because nobody in this office actually conversed. It was very, very peculiar. And it was just not my vibe. I'm a very chatty person. I do like to joke around. I mean, I'm not Jim Halpert in the office and pulling pranks all the time, but just a little bit of like, how was your weekend? That really goes a long way, or saying good morning to somebody. But it wasn't the case at this place. I could make videos if you want in the future, but I had a supervisor who didn't really like me, and coupling that with my personality, it was just the wrong fit from go, and I should have never have taken this position, but I did because it was a job. So like, I can't stress it enough. 3 to 6 months, have it in the bank so you can really pick and choose what you want to do, if it's going back to school or just being comfortable for a couple of months, or figuring out what you really want to do and what your skills are, and finding that right job where you will just shine there and you go to work and it doesn't feel like work. So this is all information that I handed to my friend on a silver platter, and I gave her the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover and sent her to the site. And of course, I'll share anything out of my stockpile to help this friend out. But it's just one of those things, like, it hits you, you're not expecting it. It happened to her on a Friday afternoon. She had to go into an office and she was just told, hey, sorry. And it's really hard, especially my friend loved her position. Like, this was something that she glowed at. She talked about her work all the time. She loved her coworkers. And this is going to be a really different change of pace and extremely, extremely hard. But I think that even if, you were the best at your job, if you take that and then bring it to a different thing, different office, different workspace, you'll do well anywhere. And but it's just one of those things. Like, I think the older you get, the more that you will see this, especially with the volatility of commerce and the job market out there. The more that you're around, the more that you'll see this. And I think if you have a backup plan like this one, so if you're going to get messed up with a financial tsunami like a job loss, you have this in your back pocket and you are organized, so organized to hit the ground running, that if this happens, it's not going to be a disaster. Because I think that a lot of us, if we got laid off right now, it could potentially financially ruin your life, or you could maybe even be homeless. So I will definitely leave Dave Ramsey's website in the notes if you want to check it out. This is just a superb program. And when I was a really young woman, I was so smart to just follow this and enroll and really pay attention like a super student. And the last thing I just want to talk about really quickly, if you're here and you're learning how to coupon, you care about the dollars and cents that are in your bank account that you spend, and you got your eye on the financial ball. You're 50% there, guys. Even if you have a brother-in-law, sister-in-law, somebody who's close to you from church lost their job, for you to pull up a box, put a couple of these items in and say, here you go. And to know that they won't have to buy, detergent, cleaner, whatever for their home for the next 3 months. It's a really big gift. And turning it around as a couponer, if you have this stuff in your house, like, this stuff would probably last somebody like 5 years. Let's be honest. That's probably a 5-year stockpile. If I didn't go out and buy a single thing right now, and this is all that I had, this would be 5 years that I could like live off of this, like a doomsday prepper. Not that I do that, but you know what I'm saying. In an absolute call, an emergency where you have a family member that might have lost their job, in a bad spot financially. Hey, Christmas was really expensive for a lot of us. And that hangover where your credit card bill shows up and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to open this because it's scary. We've all been there. And if you can bless somebody who might be struggling right now and they need a little something, so they're not spending, $9 on Tide or, $6 on some fabric softener, this is your opportunity to really bless and help others out. So anyhow, guys, I know this video was really out there, but I'm thinking there might be a couple of you that might really need to hear this message. If you lose your job, if you get laid off, try not to take it personally. It happens to all of us in our career, and you just have to be ready for when it hits the fan. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.